Welcome to the Cinema Couch. We're here covering the Lower East Side Film Festival. I've just had the pleasure of seeing The Needle, which was an absolutely beautiful documentary. I'm speaking with one of the directors, and I'm here with one of the directors. Could you introduce yourself for our audience, please?
Of course. Hello, my name is Oquendo-Villar. I'm one of the directors of the documentary The Needle.
My name is Carmen Oquendo-Villar. I'm a Puerto Rican filmmaker, and I currently reside between Puerto Rico and New York City.
What is the story about?
The Needle is about a retired nurse who runs a beauty domestic clinic in his house in Puerto Rico. He caters more to his friends and family, and he tries to mend their bodies as well as their minds. He's trying to help them in a way to clean themselves and heal themselves from the inside and outside.
How did you find this subject? He is so compelling and so wonderful to watch on screen.
Well, I've been working for about 6 years doing portraits of transgender people all over Latin America as a documentary filmmaker. That kind of portrait. And people in Puerto Rico kept on asking me, why are you doing things in Colombia, Dominican Republic, Panama, but you haven't done anything in Puerto Rico? And I'm like, and I really wanted to do one. So when I went to shoot, it was like very beginning of 2009. I was interviewing several subjects, as possible, several transgender people. And, that's the normal procedure when you're doing observational documentaries. And when I met Quiñones, I'm like, you're it. But it was it for me, but not exactly for him.
Really?
At the beginning, there was some hesitancy.
Okay.
He allowed us to come to his house because there was a certain intimacy already established. The co-director is a client in the clinic, so we were not coming from the point of view of skepticism necessarily. And he just really wanted this. Well, at the beginning, he asked for my CV for every single film I've done before.
I love it.
And for a formal interview. And he said, okay, he had said before, okay, I'm going to choose for you which of the transgender women that come to me can be in your film, and I'll let you shoot maybe one session. And I'm like, oh, great, wonderful. But then after the interview, he said, okay, fine, the film will be about me.
It's very clear, that he does think everything through, and I was so impressed with his relationship with everybody in the community.
Yes, he has. We wanted to keep the title The Needle, not only because it's his instrument of work, but because the word needle has the word need in it. And this is people, including him, but everybody that gathers around him that needs something. It can be affection, it can be the desire to look better, the need for community. And maybe they're getting it in any way they can. And who am I to judge the way in which everybody satisfies their need?
And how did you find him? He's such a compelling character. I just loved him.
He is very charming. People just flock to him because they really are attracted to his energy. And I found him through a friend. Yeah, he said to me, you have to meet this guy because this guy is just great. He will treat you. He will make you. If you want help with your body, he will help you, but he will do it dressed as a woman. So it's like,
well, sometimes he was dressed as a woman, sometimes he wasn't.
It's true because when we filmed, he didn't want to dress.
Oh. Okay.
But he wears a lot of makeup. He wears jewelry, maybe clothes. Not really as a transsexual, but very feminine.
Right.
So that's very attractive to people. It's a lot of fun.
Why was it that he didn't want to dress for the cameras?
Maybe because he felt that it was a solemn moment, something very important for him. He didn't want to dress all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe he decided not to dress, but then we see him cross-dressing at the end of the film, which is fantastic.
It's such a dramatic moment. It's so nice to see him. You see a completely different side of him when he comes out and he's fully dressed.
It's true. He loves dressing up, like singing for shows and etc. And he does it very well. He really enjoys it.
Oh, yeah. No, he looked fantastic.
Thank you. I really love him. He's a great character. He's a good friend.
And I was struck by what a wide range of clients he had.
Yes, you can see. So that's why it's not a strictly LGBT film, Although it is very queer if we understand queer not as in am I a lesbian or am I gay, but really in the act of reinventing yourself, of really constantly fashioning and modeling who you are. And in that way, the 60-year-old lady is queer in the sense that she is reinventing herself. And, it points to a void, not that the characters have, that we all have, that we are so unsatisfied on how we look, on how we're loved or how we're not loved. So that was at the core of what we wanted to see, and not really to judge what's going on in the screen, but how does that affect me? How do I have those voids? How do I try to fill them out?
Tell me about the title of the movie, because I actually thought that was really compelling, The Needle. It feels to me as though that might have a double meaning.
That was a big problem for the film because we didn't know how to call the film. We thought it was like, what are we going to call this film? The Nurse? So I told my friend, the other co-director, Carmen, Carmen, what about needlepoint? He said needlepoint, but that's something like you crochet or something. It's like, no.
Sewing. People would be looking for a different story.
And then she said, what about the needle? I was like, the needle? It sounds good to me. So we like the term because it comes from the term need, to need something. So it's kind of a happy medium.
It was so deeply relatable, and you see him at one point, talking to a young girl who he hears is making herself sick after she eats, and you just can see the continuity of this sort of inner turmoil and this self-dissatisfaction in the way that people are aspiring to come into themselves.
Yes. And also something very important is that he's a midwife, emotional midwife of sorts.
I love that phrase.
Yes, he's an emotional midwife because he helps people give birth to new selves. So he's there to treat you with the treatments he does, but he's a psychologist. Once you have to wait a long time to get in.
I can see.
Hours. But once you're in, and you won't get out of there until you're fully calm with whatever you need. Sometimes a treatment doesn't happen, meaning via injection. Maybe they come talk to him. And they spend all this time talking to him.
Just to have a safe space, to have somebody who they know will listen and not judge them.
Yes.
To be supportive.
But these kinds of communities, it's really great that they exist, but they're also very fragile. And sometimes, they're not self-sustained, they're not through a long time, so that's why at the end, Quiñones says they're here now, I don't know for how long.
What I found so interesting in this story was the correlation sort of between what he was bringing to his clients and his own experience as a homosexual who wasn't really accepted by his family. And I found myself sort of wondering, watching the film, if he was, this process of beautification, right? Is this bringing people closer to who they would like to be? Is it bringing people closer to self-acceptance and to happiness, or is it a way of sort of escaping a part of yourself that you're not comfortable with?
It's all of the above. It's people seek from him that kind of salvation, and they all hope their lives will get better through this process. Some of them get what they're expecting for, and some of them just don't. So it really depends on how much faith do you have in the process and in Quiñones and in yourself. When you turn yourself into the treatment, to his hands, he's like a healer.
Do you feel such concern for him, and how is he going to maintain? He's giving so much to the community. Is the community sustaining him as well?
Exactly. So in a way, sometimes he feels that he's taken advantage of in many ways. So some people might see the film and be outraged at X, Y, or try to judge him as a character. One thing I've learned in my years of filmmaking is that you must love your characters, even if they do things that you don't agree with. So that's why we tried, because he gave us a lot of access, and we want to portray him how he is, because he is who he is. So there's nothing we can do about what he is, but be very careful in the edition.
For the community.
Just a tremendous amount of faith that these people were putting into him.
Yes.
How long has he lived in that community?
He'd been there working mostly, like 10 years now, maybe 10 years. He used to be a nurse. We didn't say he was a nurse at the beginning of the film, because we didn't want to fall in that type of explanation. So we just took, when he was like just working, giving the treatments.
So you didn't want people to think too much about the backstory and what...
People will if you give them that, they will take that way. So it just intervened with the story.
Which I think that you did really beautifully. And also with his family as well. He talks about his history with his family. You tell by showing, I felt like, in this story.
Thank you. Yes. This movie was easy to shoot. Not easy, but it was not hard to shoot. But it took 3 years to edit, because we had a lot of footage, mostly like maybe 40 hours, and we didn't know really where to start or when to end. So it took 4 different editors to edit the film, and it took 3 years to edit. You wouldn't believe all the kinds of montage we went through, many, until we made it work.
I believe it.
Yes, it was a lot of work, and I realized with this film is that every second counted. So it's like sometimes even 2 seconds will make the scene feel very long, so we had to like cut it.
A very carefully told story, but it's you don't feel as a viewer, that you're being like carefully told. You're just sort of like carried along.
This became the event of the neighborhood. This is a very popular neighborhood, full of, it's right next to the biggest housing project in Puerto Rico. Yes, so there's a lot of people without papers who are not in Puerto Rico legally. There's a lot of drug trafficking. So at the beginning it was very nerve-wracking, but then at the end there's a film going on there in that house.
I'm very glad you enjoyed the film, and the people enjoyed the film. We did it with a lot of love, and we really would like the world and everybody to see more about The Needle.
Where can they find out more about this film? Where can people see it? Where in your process are you?
We're in the process of festivals, and right now we are just very happy to be here at Les Film Festival, which is an incredible house for people who make films and love them and really want to show creative works in this kind of environment where you're going to be evaluated because of your work, not from where you come from or something like that. So that's very important for me. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. We're going to try to move it in other festivals in the future, maybe to the West, and as much as we can in festivals, and then when it's done that type of campaign, then we'll figure something out.
So where can people find out more information now if they're just curious to look up some info?
They can join our Facebook group. It's called The Needle, and we are constantly updating for information.
Well, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. I thought the film was just fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.